You wake up already tired, not because your body is weak, but because your mind never truly rested. Even when you stop moving, something inside you keeps pushing, whispering that rest must be earned. So you scroll, you think, you worry. And the moment you try to be still, guilt creeps in as if peace is something you're stealing. You were taught, quietly and repeatedly, that slowing down is dangerous. That if you pause, you'll fall behind. That being productive is the same as being worthy. Over time, that belief settled into your nervous system. Now rest feels unfamiliar, almost wrong, even though your body has been asking for it for so long. Notice how your chest tightens when you try to relax. Notice the urge to justify your stillness. This isn't because you're doing something wrong. It's because you've been living in a rhythm that forgot how to receive. Your body remembers another way, even if your mind argues with it at first. Rest is not laziness dressed up in comfort. It is an act of self-respect. It is the moment you tell your inner world you don't have to perform to be loved. When you rest, you are not abandoning your responsibilities, you are restoring the part of you that carries them. If guilt appears when you slow down, don't fight it. Gently observe it. Guilt often rises when an old belief is being challenged. It learned its job a long time ago when survival meant staying busy, staying useful, staying alert. You can thank it and still choose something softer. Your body heals in moments of permission. Your mind reorganizes itself in quiet spaces. Creativity, clarity, and peace do not arrive through force. They emerge when pressure is released. Nothing important is lost when you rest. What is unnecessary begins to fall away. Right now, you don't need to prove anything. You don't need to earn this pause. You are allowed to stop without explaining yourself. Let your breath slow, let your shoulders drop. Rest is not a failure of effort, it is a return to balance, and you deserve to be here. I want to begin by speaking to the part of you that feels uneasy when you try to rest, the part that tightens when you slow down, the part that whispers that you should be doing something more useful, more productive, more necessary. This voice did not appear because something is wrong with you. It appeared because you learned very early how to survive. Many of us were taught, gently or firmly, that our value came from what we did, from how helpful we were, from how well we performed our duties. We learned that love, approval, and safety often followed effort, and so effort became familiar. Stillness did not. Over time, this lesson moved out of the mind and into the body. The body learned to stay alert, to stay ready, to stay useful. And now, when you try to rest, the body does not immediately relax. It asks questions. It wonders if it is safe to stop. This is not failure. This is conditioning. I want you to understand that guilt often appears when you are doing something unfamiliar, not something wrong. Rest feels unfamiliar to a system that learned to equate movement with worth. So when you slow down, guilt rises as a kind of alarm. The alarm is not there to punish you. It believes it is protecting you. Guilt often says you haven't done enough yet, or someone else might need you, or you'll fall behind if you stop. These messages were once useful. They kept you attentive in a world that demanded a great deal from you. But usefulness is not the same as worth. I want you to begin separating these two ideas gently, without force. You are valuable even when you are still. You are worthy even when you are resting. Your breath alone is proof that you belong. The body remembers a time when rest felt natural. You can see it in a sleeping child whose worth is never questioned. Somewhere along the way, many of us forgot that rest is a part of life's rhythm, not a reward for suffering. When rest becomes conditional, peace disappears. You may notice that when you try to lie down or sit quietly, your thoughts become louder. Plans arise, memories replay, concerns surface. This does not mean rest is failing. It means the mind has not yet learned to trust stillness. Trust comes slowly, through permission. The body tightens because it has learned that stopping can be dangerous. That if it rests, it may lose control, miss something important, or disappoint someone. These beliefs were absorbed long ago, often without words. I want you to thank your body for trying to protect you. It has been very loyal, and now it is learning something new. Rest does not mean abandonment of responsibility. Rest means restoration of the one who carries responsibility. There is a deep difference. When you do not rest, you slowly disconnect from yourself. You may continue to function, but you function from depletion rather than fullness. The body whispers for rest long before it shouts, and guilt often teaches us to ignore those whispers. I want you to know that your need for rest is not a weakness. It is wisdom. Wisdom does not demand, it invites. You may have been praised in the past for pushing through exhaustion, for staying strong, for doing more than was asked. And that praise may have taught you that rest was something to feel ashamed of. Shame has no place in healing. Rest is not laziness dressed up in comfort. It is cooperation with life. It is the moment you say, I matter too. Notice how radical that feels. The mind may argue. It may say, there's no time, or later, or after just one more thing. These arguments come from fear, not truth. Fear of being left behind. Fear of being seen as unworthy. I want you to begin seeing fear and guilt not as enemies, but as messengers from an old story that is ready to be released. You do not need to silence them. You only need to stop obeying them. Rest does not steal from life. It gives back to it. When you rest, your body repairs itself quietly, your mind organizes itself naturally, your heart softens its grip on effort. None of this requires struggle. It happens when you allow it. The discomfort you feel when resting is not a sign you should stop resting. It is a sign that something inside you is unlearning a long-held belief. Unlearning can feel uncomfortable before it feels freeing. I want you to notice your breath right now, not to change it, just to notice. Even this small act of attention may feel unfamiliar. That is all right. Familiarity grows through kindness, not force. You are not required to justify your need for rest. You do not need permission from anyone outside yourself. Life itself designed you to require cycles of activity and rest. Ignoring those cycles does not make you stronger. It makes you tired. And tiredness is not a moral failure. I want you to hear this clearly. You are allowed to rest without earning it. You are allowed to pause without explanation. You are allowed to stop without falling apart. Nothing essential is lost when you rest. What is unnecessary begins to loosen. Rest creates space. Space allows truth to rise gently. As we continue, I want you to hold this understanding softly. The guilt you feel around rest is not a command, it is a habit. And habits can change. Change begins not with effort, but with compassion. You are learning a kinder rhythm now, one that includes both giving and receiving, one that honors the body's wisdom instead of overriding it. This is not indulgence. This is balance, and balance is your natural state. Now that we have begun to understand why rest can feel unsafe, I want to speak more deeply about guilt. Guilt often arrives quietly. It does not shout. It whispers. It makes suggestions that sound reasonable, responsible, even loving. And yet its presence keeps the body tense and the heart uneasy. Guilt is not a sign that you are doing something wrong. It is a sign that an old belief is being challenged. Many people learn that rest must be justified, that stillness must be earned, that stopping requires a reason. And when those reasons are not immediately visible, guilt steps in to remind you of the old rules. These rules were not created by life. They were learned through repetition, through expectation, through watching how others were valued. And because they were learned, they can be unlearned. I want you to see guilt not as an authority, but as a habit. A habit formed when being busy felt safer than being still. Guilt often says, you could be doing more, or others need you, or you haven't earned this yet. These messages sound convincing because they were once praised. They helped you belong. They helped you feel useful. But usefulness is not the same as worth. Worth does not increase when you exhaust yourself. Worth does not disappear when you rest. Worth simply is. When guilt arises as you rest, it does not mean you should stop resting. It means you are learning something new and the old pattern is reacting. I want you to greet guilt gently. Not with obedience and not with rejection. Simply notice it. Say inwardly, I see you. That acknowledgement alone softens its grip. Guilt loses power when it is no longer feared. So often guilt keeps the body alert long after the need for alertness has passed. It keeps muscles tense. It keeps the breath shallow. It convinces the heart that relaxation is dangerous. But danger is not present in this moment. You are allowed to rest without explanation. You are allowed to pause without proving anything. You are allowed to stop without apologizing. These permissions may feel unfamiliar. That does not mean they are wrong. It means they are new. I want you to begin offering yourself a gentle affirmation, not as a demand, but as reassurance. I am allowed to rest. Say it softly. Let the words land where they will. You do not need to convince yourself. You only need to allow the possibility. Rest does not take anything away from you. It returns something that has been missing: ease. Guilt often tightens when ease appears, because ease was once unfamiliar. But unfamiliar does not mean unsafe. When you feel guilt, notice what happens in your body. Does your chest tighten? Does your stomach contract? This is the body responding to an old instruction. You can gently offer another affirmation. It is safe for me to pause. Safety is what guilt has been trying to protect. When safety is named directly, guilt can rest. You may have been taught that peace comes after effort, after everything is handled, after everyone else is satisfied. But peace that waits for perfection never arrives. Peace arrives when you stop postponing it. I want you to understand that guilt thrives on delay. It always says later, later after more is done, later after you have earned it, later when things are different. But your body does not live in later. Your body lives now, and now is where rest is needed. Forgiveness is an important part of releasing guilt. Forgiveness not for doing something wrong, but for believing you had to be relentless in order to be worthy. You might gently say to yourself, I forgive myself for believing I must earn rest. Forgiveness loosens the grip of old expectations. It allows compassion to enter where judgment once lived. Judgment creates tension. Compassion creates release. I want you to know that choosing rest does not make you irresponsible. It makes you responsive to your body, to your limits, to life's natural rhythm. When you ignore the need for rest, life eventually insists. When you honor it, life cooperates. You are not stepping away from your responsibilities when you rest. You are tending to the one who carries them. This is wisdom, not indulgence. Guilt often fears that if you stop, you will never start again. But rest does not erase motivation. It restores it. A rested body moves with clarity. A rested mind decides with ease. A rested heart loves without strain. Nothing important is lost when you rest. What is unnecessary falls away. I want you to begin separating guilt from truth. Guilt speaks loudly, but it does not always speak wisely. Truth is quieter. It speaks through the body's signals: fatigue, heaviness, longing for stillness. Listening to truth feels calming. Listening to guilt feels tightening. You are learning to tell the difference. You may notice that as you continue resting, guilt softens more quickly. It no longer stays as long. This is a sign that a new pattern is forming. Patterns change through repetition, not force. Each time you rest without justification, you teach your system something new. You teach it that rest is allowed. That safety does not depend on effort. This teaching takes time. Be patient with yourself. You may still feel guilt sometimes. That does not mean you are failing. It means the habit is familiar. Greet it and choose rest anyway. You are not here to eliminate guilt. You are here to stop letting it decide. I want you to remember this. Guilt is loud when self-worth is conditional. As self-worth becomes unconditional, guilt quiets naturally. You do not need to fight it. You only need to practice kindness. Rest is not something you take from life. Rest is something life gives you. You are allowed to receive. As we move forward, I want you to carry this understanding gently. You do not need to earn peace. Peace is not payment for exhaustion. Peace is your natural state when resistance ends. And resistance often looks like guilt. You are learning to release it now, not by force, but by choosing something softer. This choice changes everything. Now I want to turn our attention gently toward the body, because the body often carries beliefs long after the mind has begun to understand something new. You may tell yourself that it is all right to rest and still feel tension in your shoulders, your jaw, or your breath. This is not resistance. This is memory. The body remembers what it learned during times when stillness did not feel safe, when stopping meant falling behind, disappointing someone, or losing approval. The body adapted by staying alert, and it has been loyal to that habit for a very long time. So when you rest now, the body does not immediately soften. It watches, it waits. It wonders if this pause is allowed. I want you to know that the body does not relax because it is told to. It relaxes when it feels reassured. And reassurance comes through gentleness, not force. You do not need to make your body rest. You only need to let it know that rest is welcome. Notice how often people try to relax by effort. They tell themselves to calm down, to let go, to stop feeling tense. But the body does not respond to commands. It responds to kindness. Kindness feels different in the body. It feels slower. It feels warmer. It feels patient. I want you to begin noticing sensations without trying to change them. The weight of your body, the support beneath you, the simple fact that you are being held by something right now, by a chair, a bed, the floor, the earth itself. Support is real, even when you forget it. When the body feels supported, it no longer needs to hold itself so tightly. You may notice that your breathing changes as you become aware of support. It may deepen slightly, or slow, or become less controlled. These are signs that the body is beginning to trust. Trust does not arrive suddenly. It grows through repetition. Each time you rest and nothing bad happens, the body learns something new. Each time you pause and are still accepted, the body releases a little more tension. This learning happens quietly. I want you to stop judging how well you rest. There is no correct way to be still. There is only honesty. If your body feels restless, allow that. If it feels heavy, allow that too. Stillness does not require silence inside. Stillness is simply the absence of pushing. You may feel discomfort when you first allow yourself to be still. This does not mean you should stop resting. It means something old is loosening. The body is adjusting to a new instruction. The instruction is simple. You are safe enough to pause. You might gently offer your body this reassurance. It is safe for me to rest. Say it slowly, or simply feel the meaning of it. Words are helpful, but tone matters more than language. Imagine speaking to a tired child. You would not rush them. You would not demand that they relax correctly. You would offer comfort and patience. Your body deserves the same care. You may notice places where tension remains. Let them be. Tension that is allowed often releases on its own. Tension that is forced only tightens. There is wisdom in waiting. Rest is not a technique, it is a relationship with your body. And relationships grow through trust. When you lie down or sit quietly, notice if there is an urge to justify your stillness, to explain it, to make it temporary. This urge comes from the belief that rest must be defended. It does not. You do not owe rest an explanation. You do not need to make it reasonable. You are allowed to stop simply because you are tired. Tiredness is not a weakness. It is a signal. The body speaks through sensation. Heaviness, fatigue, longing for stillness, these are not inconveniences. They are messages asking for care. When you listen, healing begins. I want you to feel how different it is to meet your body with respect instead of discipline. Discipline tightens. Respect softens. Softening allows rest to deepen. As the body begins to trust stillness, you may notice emotions rising gently. Sadness, relief, tenderness. These are not problems. They are signs that something has been held for a long time and is now being allowed to release. You do not need to analyze these feelings. You only need to stay present with them. Presence is enough. I want you to remember that rest heals more than the body. It heals the heart. It heals the relationship you have with yourself. When you allow yourself to be still without guilt, you tell your inner world that it does not have to perform to be loved. That message is deeply healing. You may notice that after resting, you feel clearer. Not energized in a forced way, but steadier, more grounded. This is the body returning to balance. Balance does not come from constant motion. It comes from rhythm. Life has rhythm. Breath has rhythm. Sleep has rhythm. You were not designed to be in motion all the time. Honoring rhythm restores harmony. I want you to trust your body's wisdom. It knows how to repair itself when given the chance. You do not need to supervise healing. You do not need to manage it. Healing happens when pressure is removed. You may find that as you practice resting, it becomes easier. The body begins to anticipate kindness instead of vigilance. It learns that stillness is not dangerous. This learning is profound, and it is happening now, even if you cannot feel it yet. Be patient with yourself. Be gentle with your body. You are teaching it something new, and new things take time to feel familiar. You are not behind. You are not failing. You are learning. Learning how to be still without fear. Learning how to rest without guilt. Learning how to let your body be supported. This learning changes everything. As we continue, I want you to carry this understanding. Rest is not something you force your body into. It is something you invite your body to receive, and your body is listening. Now, I want to speak about rest in a new way, not as something you allow only when you are exhausted, not as something you take reluctantly with apology, but as an expression of self-respect, because how you rest reflects how you value yourself. Many people believe that respect is shown through effort, through endurance, through pushing past limits. And yet true respect listens, it notices, it responds. When you respect yourself, you do not ignore your body's signals. You honor them. Rest is not withdrawal from life. It is participation in life's natural balance. Everything in nature moves between activity and stillness. The sun rises and sets. The tide advances and retreats. Growth itself requires rest. You were not designed differently. When you deny rest, you disrupt balance. And imbalance always asks to be corrected one way or another. I want you to begin seeing rest not as indulgence, but as alignment. Alignment with your body. Alignment with life. Alignment with truth. Truth does not require exhaustion to be proven. So often, people believe they must give endlessly in order to be good. They measure their worth by how much they sacrifice. And yet giving without receiving leads to depletion, not virtue. Balance means allowing yourself to receive as generously as you give. Receiving can feel uncomfortable at first, especially if you learned that rest was selfish or that pausing meant you were letting someone down. These beliefs were never truths. They were misunderstandings passed along quietly. I want you to question them gently. What if rest is not something you take away from others, but something you bring back to them? A rested presence offers clarity, patience, and warmth. An exhausted presence offers strain. Rest improves how you show up in the world. Self-respect begins with honoring limits. Limits are not failures. They are signals of wisdom. When you respect your limits, you prevent resentment, fatigue, and disconnection. You are not meant to give from emptiness. I want you to offer yourself this affirmation softly and without pressure. I respect myself by resting. Let the meaning of these words settle. Self-respect feels steady in the body. It feels grounded. It does not rush or defend. When you rest from self-respect, guilt loosens. Guilt cannot survive where worth is recognized. Balance is restored when rest and action support each other instead of competing. You may notice that when you rest with respect, you are less tempted to over-explain. You no longer feel the need to justify your pause, you simply allow it. This quiet confidence is a sign of inner balance. Balance does not mean equal time spent resting and working, it means responsiveness. It means listening to what is needed in the moment and honoring it without argument. Your body knows when it needs stillness, your heart knows when it needs quiet, your spirit knows when it needs space. When you listen, balance returns naturally. I want you to understand that self-respect is not rigid. It is compassionate. It allows flexibility. It allows adjustment without judgment. When you respect yourself, you do not shame yourself for being tired. You respond with care. Care changes everything. You may notice that as you allow rest from this place, your inner voice becomes gentler. It stops scolding. It begins encouraging. This voice is not something you must create. It emerges when judgment fades, and peace follows. Rest also restores dignity. When you push yourself beyond what is kind, you treat yourself as an object to be used. When you rest, you treat yourself as a living being worthy of care. This distinction matters deeply. You were not created to be constantly productive. You were created to live fully. Living fully includes pause, reflection, and renewal. I want you to begin trusting that honoring rest strengthens your ability to act wisely. Action taken from rest is clearer, calmer, and more effective. Effort without rest scatters energy. Rest gathers it. Inner balance feels like steadiness, like being centered instead of pulled in many directions. This steadiness comes not from control, but from cooperation with yourself. When you stop forcing yourself, you begin supporting yourself. Support is the foundation of balance. I want you to notice how your body responds when you think of rest as respect rather than escape. There may be relief, there may be emotion. Allow whatever arises. Allowing is an act of respect. As balance returns, you may notice that rest no longer feels heavy. It feels nourishing. You may rest without guilt and still feel engaged with life. This is a powerful shift. You are not stepping away from responsibility. You are restoring the one who carries it. Balance allows you to give without resentment and rest without shame. I want you to release the idea that you must earn your pauses. You do not earn the right to breathe. You do not earn the right to sleep. Rest belongs to you because you are alive. Life itself requires cycles of renewal. When you respect those cycles, life responds with ease. You may notice that your days begin to feel different. You move with more awareness. You listen sooner. You stop before depletion arrives. These changes are not dramatic. They are dignified. Dignity comes from honoring yourself quietly, consistently, without explanation. As we prepare to move into the final part, I want you to hold this understanding gently. Rest is not something you allow because you are failing. Rest is something you choose because you are wise. Wisdom listens. Wisdom responds. Wisdom rests. And through rest, balance is restored. Now, I want to speak about what begins to change when rest is no longer something you argue with, when it is no longer postponed, justified, or taken with apology. There is a quiet shift that happens when you accept rest as part of who you are, rather than something you allow only when you are worn down. Life begins to feel different, not because your circumstances suddenly change, but because you are no longer moving through them from depletion. You begin to live from a place of steadiness instead of strain. And steadiness has its own wisdom. When you are rested, you listen sooner. You feel signals before they become demands. You notice when your body needs to pause, and you respond with care instead of criticism. This responsiveness creates trust, trust between you and your body, between you and life. Trust changes everything. You may notice that guilt no longer appears as quickly when you stop, or when it does, it feels softer, less convincing. It no longer carries the same authority. This is not because you defeated guilt. It is because guilt no longer has a place to stand. When worth is recognized, guilt loosens naturally. Living from a rested place does not mean you do less of what matters. It means you stop doing what drains you unnecessarily. You begin to choose your actions more consciously. You give your energy where it is most meaningful rather than spreading it thin through obligation. This clarity arises naturally when the body is not exhausted. You may notice that your days take on a gentler rhythm. There is movement and there is pause. There is engagement and there is retreat. Neither feels wrong, neither requires explanation. This is balance lived, not planned. Balance feels calm in the body. Balance feels honest. Balance feels sustainable. I want you to understand that when you rest without guilt, you are not becoming less responsible. You are becoming more present. Presence allows you to respond to life instead of reacting to it. Reaction is born of fatigue. Response is born of rest. You may find that you speak more thoughtfully now, that you pause before agreeing to things that once felt automatic, that you honor your limits without defending them. These changes are subtle, but they are profound. They signal that you are living from self-respect. Living from a rested state also deepens your connection with others. When you are rested, you listen without hurry. You give without resentment. You are less likely to abandon yourself to meet expectations. This does not distance you from people. It brings you closer in a more honest way. You may notice that your creativity returns quietly. Ideas arise without pressure. Inspiration appears without forcing. This is because creativity thrives in spaciousness, not exhaustion. Rest makes room for life to speak. I want you to trust that you do not need to guard your rest aggressively. Rest does not need defending when it is integrated into how you live. It becomes part of your natural rhythm, like breathing. You may still have days when you overextend. That does not erase what you have learned. Awareness returns you more quickly now. You notice sooner. You adjust sooner. And that is progress. Progress does not mean never being tired. It means responding to tiredness with kindness. As you live from this place, you may notice that your inner voice continues to soften. It no longer demands constant proof of worth. It becomes supportive, encouraging you to care for yourself instead of pushing you past yourself. This voice is not new. It has always been there. It was simply quiet beneath effort and expectation. Now it can be heard. Living rested does not mean life becomes slow. It means you move with intention instead of compulsion. You act because you choose to, not because you are afraid to stop. Fear drives exhaustion. Love restores energy. You are learning to let love guide your pace. I want you to release the belief that rest is something you must protect from life. Rest is part of life. When you honor it, life responds with clarity and ease. Nothing important is lost when you rest. What is unnecessary falls away. You may notice that you wake differently now, not always energized, but more grounded, more at home in yourself. This sense of being at home is a sign that rest is no longer something you fight. You belong where you are. Living from a rested and worthy inner state does not require constant attention. It requires consistency in kindness. Each time you choose rest when it is needed, you reinforce trust. Trust builds quietly. Trust endures. I want you to remember that your value does not fluctuate with your output. You are not more worthy on busy days or less worthy on quiet ones. Worth is not measured, it is inherent. When you know this, rest feels natural. You stop apologizing for your needs. You stop minimizing your fatigue. You stop pushing through signals that ask for care. This does not make you weak, it makes you wise. Wisdom listens, wisdom pauses. Wisdom restores itself. As you continue forward, you may find that rest becomes something you look forward to without guilt, something you welcome without explanation, something you trust as part of your well-being. This trust creates peace. Peace does not require constant calm. It requires honesty with yourself, honest recognition of when to act and when to rest. You are learning this balance now, and balance, once learned, carries you. I want you to end this time with a simple truth held gently. You do not need to earn rest. You do not need to justify rest. You do not need to wait until you are depleted. You are allowed to rest because you are alive. Living from this truth changes the way you move through the world. You move with dignity instead of urgency, with clarity instead of pressure, with compassion instead of criticism. This is the transformation. Rest is no longer something you take reluctantly. Rest is something you live from. And from this place, life feels kinder. Not because it changed, but because you did. Life loves you, and you are learning to live in cooperation with that love. Let us stay here together now. There is no need to rise just yet. No need to return to doing, deciding, or carrying. This moment is not asking anything of you. It is simply offering itself as a place to land. You may notice how different it feels to arrive at the end without urgency, without a final task, without a lesson to remember or an action to take. This is intentional. Rest does not conclude with instruction. Rest concludes with allowance. You have been listening not to learn something new, but to remember something old. Something that has always lived inside you, quietly waiting for permission. The permission to stop striving. The permission to be held instead of holding everything together. I want you to notice how your body feels right now. Not to judge it, not to change it, just to notice. The body always tells the truth about safety. When it feels safe, it softens. When it softens, healing begins without effort. You may feel heaviness or lightness or something in between. All of it is welcome. Nothing needs to be adjusted. The body knows how to settle when it is not being pushed. For so long, you may have believed that rest was something you had to justify. That stillness needed a reason. That pausing required permission from the world outside you. And now something has shifted. You are beginning to feel that rest does not need explanation. Rest belongs to you. You did not borrow it. You did not earn it. You did not take it from anyone else. Rest is woven into life itself. Every breath carries it. Every night offers it. Every quiet moment invites it. When you stop resisting, it arrives naturally. I want you to let go of the idea that rest must look a certain way. Rest is not always sleep. Sometimes it is simply the absence of pressure. Sometimes it is a softening of the inner voice. Sometimes it is the decision not to push through one more thing. Rest can be subtle. And subtle rest is powerful. You may notice that your mind is quieter now, or perhaps simply less urgent. Thoughts may still come and go, but they do not demand immediate action. This is the mind learning that it does not have to stay alert all the time. Alertness once kept you safe. Rest now keeps you whole. I want you to trust that nothing will fall apart because you stopped pushing. Life does not collapse when you rest. Life reorganizes itself. It finds a new balance. It begins to move with you instead of against you. When you rest, you are not abandoning life. You are returning to it. So many people confuse rest with absence. Absence of effort, absence of contribution, absence of value, but rest is not absence. It is presence without strain. Presence is what allows you to feel yourself again. You may begin to notice parts of yourself that were hidden beneath exhaustion, tenderness, curiosity, quiet joy. These parts were not gone. They were resting, waiting for you to stop pushing past them. I want you to understand that your worth has never depended on how much you carry. Worth is not measured by endurance. Worth is not proven through exhaustion. Worth is inherent. When you truly know this, rest feels natural. You stop negotiating with yourself. You stop apologizing for pauses. You stop minimizing your need for care. Care becomes normal, and when care becomes normal, guilt loses its voice. Guilt thrives where worth is conditional, where rest must be justified, where stillness is treated as a threat, but as you live from self-respect, guilt no longer has authority. You may still hear it sometimes. Old habits do not disappear overnight, but you will recognize it now. You will know it as an echo of an old story, not a command you must follow. Recognition brings freedom. I want you to feel how gentle freedom is. It does not announce itself. It does not rush. It does not demand that you be different. Freedom simply allows you to breathe without tension. Breath is the first sign of rest returning. Each time you breathe without forcing, you remind your body that it is safe. Each time you pause without explanation, you remind your heart that it is valued. Each time you rest without guilt, you restore balance. Balance is not something you achieve once and keep forever. Balance is something you return to again and again through listening. Listening is the key. Listening to your body when it asks to slow down. Listening to your heart when it asks for quiet. Listening to your spirit when it asks for space. When you listen, you respond with care instead of judgment. Judgment tightens. Care softens. Softening allows life to flow more easily. You may find that in the days ahead, you notice tiredness sooner, not because you are weaker, but because you are more present. Awareness allows you to rest before exhaustion takes over. This is wisdom. You may also find that you enjoy rest differently now, without rushing through it, without planning the next thing, without feeling that you must make it productive. Rest does not need to be useful. Rest is valuable by its nature. I want you to release the belief that rest takes time away from life. Rest gives time back time in the form of clarity, patience, and ease. When you rest, your thoughts become simpler, decisions feel clearer, emotions move more freely. This is not coincidence. This is restoration. Rest restores what effort cannot. I want you to trust that even when you are not consciously resting, the permission you have given yourself continues to work. Healing does not stop when you get up. Balance does not disappear when you move. What is shifted inside you stays. It shows up in small moments, in the way you pause before responding, in the way you choose not to push through one more thing, in the way you allow yourself to stop without explanation. These small choices matter. They change the rhythm of your life. You are learning a new rhythm now, one that includes both action and stillness, giving and receiving, engagement and retreat. None of these are wrong. None of them require justification. Life itself moves this way. When you move with life instead of against it, strain dissolves. I want you to know that you do not need to defend this new way of being. You do not need to explain it to anyone. You do not need to prove that rest makes you better, kinder, or more productive. You rest because you are alive. That is reason enough. As you continue forward, you may notice that rest becomes something you trust, something you return to without fear, something that supports you rather than interrupts you. This trust deepens over time, and when trust is present, peace follows naturally. Peace does not arrive as excitement. It arrives as steadiness, as the absence of inner conflict, as the feeling that you are no longer running from yourself. You are allowed to stop running. You are allowed to arrive. Arriving does not mean life stops. It means you stop leaving yourself behind. I want you to feel how supported you are right now, not by effort, not by achievement, but by your own willingness to listen and respond with care. This willingness is powerful. It has already changed the way your body responds, the way your mind softens, the way your heart rests. You may not notice all of these changes consciously. That is all right. Healing does not require observation. It requires permission, and permission has been given. As this time comes to a close, do not think of it as an ending. Think of it as a settling, like dust returning to the ground. Like water finding stillness after movement, nothing has been lost. Something essential has been restored. You are allowed to carry this feeling forward gently, without holding it tightly, without trying to preserve it. It will return when you need it, because it lives inside you now. Take one more slow breath, let it move through you naturally. Notice how nothing is being asked of you in this moment. This is rest as it truly is. This is worth as it truly is. This is balance remembered. Life loves you, and you are learning to live in harmony with that love, without guilt, without strain, and without apology. Let us remain here together without needing to mark time. There is no rush now. Nothing is waiting for you to finish. Nothing is measuring how long you stay. This moment exists simply to be lived, not used, not evaluated, not justified. You may notice that your body has softened in ways you did not expect, or perhaps it has only softened a little. Either way is enough. Healing does not arrive with a standard measure. It arrives in the way your system can receive it safely. Safety is the doorway through which rest enters. For so long, your body learned that safety came from vigilance, from staying alert, from being ready to respond. It learned to scan, to anticipate, to prepare. And now, very gently, it is learning something new. That safety can also come from stillness. Stillness does not mean absence. Stillness means support. You are being supported right now, not because you have done something well, but because you exist. Support is not conditional. It is a natural response to life. I want you to feel the difference between effort and allowance. Effort tightens the body, allowance opens it. You have spent many years in effort, and now you are practicing allowance. Allowance is not weakness. Allowance is trust. Trust that you do not need to hold everything together. Trust that you can rest without losing your place in the world. Trust that nothing essential disappears when you stop pushing. Nothing essential has ever been lost when you rested. Only what was unnecessary fell away. You may feel emotion rise as you consider this. Grief, perhaps, for how long you denied yourself rest. Tenderness for the part of you that believed it had to earn every pause. Let that emotion be here. It does not need explanation. It does not need resolution. Emotion that is allowed softens naturally. I want you to know that rest does not erase your strength. It reveals it. True strength does not come from endurance alone. It comes from knowing when to pause, when to listen, when to restore. Rest restores discernment. Discernment allows you to move through life without strain. You are learning how to move without strain now. This learning is quiet. It does not announce itself. It happens beneath thought, beneath effort, beneath habit. It happens in the body first. The body is always the first to know when it is safe. You may notice that your breath has changed since you began listening. Perhaps it is slower, perhaps deeper, perhaps simply less controlled. This is not something you did. This is something that happened when pressure eased. Pressure leaving the body is healing. I want you to stop trying to remember everything that was said. You do not need to carry these words forward consciously. They have already found their way where they were needed. Healing does not depend on memory. Healing depends on tone. The tone you use with yourself now is different, softer, more patient, less demanding. This tone will continue to speak inside you long after this moment ends. You may hear it when you feel tired later. You may hear it when you choose to stop sooner than usual. You may hear it when you decide not to push yourself past what is kind. That voice is not something new. It is your natural voice, returning. I want you to release the idea that rest must be protected fiercely. Rest does not need guarding. Rest grows stronger each time you choose it without apology. Apology weakens rest. Permission strengthens it. You are allowed to rest without explaining why. You are allowed to rest without planning what comes next. You are allowed to rest without turning it into a task. Rest is not something to do well. Rest is something to receive. Receiving can feel unfamiliar if you have spent your life giving attention, giving effort, giving care. Receiving may feel vulnerable, but vulnerability is not danger. Vulnerability is openness. Openness allows life to meet you. When you rest, you open yourself to being met by calm, met by clarity, met by a quieter sense of self. This quiet self has always been there. It has simply been waiting for the noise of effort to settle. You may notice that your thoughts feel farther apart now. Not gone, but less crowded. This space is important. Space allows new understanding to form without being forced. Space allows peace. Peace is not an achievement. It is a response to self-acceptance. You have accepted yourself more deeply here, not by agreeing with everything you have done, but by stopping the habit of punishing yourself for being human. Punishment never healed anyone. Compassion always does. I want you to understand that rest is not something that belongs only to night, or to vacations, or to illness. Rest belongs to every day. It belongs in moments, in pauses, in breaths. You can rest while sitting quietly. You can rest while listening. You can rest by choosing not to think about one more thing. These small rests matter. They teach your system that rest does not require collapse. That rest can coexist with living. You are learning to rest within life, not escape from it. This is a profound change. You may find that you no longer feel the same urgency you once did. Or when urgency appears, you notice it sooner, you no longer obey it automatically, you pause. And in that pause, you choose. Choice returns when rest is honored. Without rest, everything feels like a demand. With rest, life feels like a series of invitations. You are allowed to choose which invitations you accept. I want you to trust that you are not becoming less responsible by resting. You are becoming more responsive. Responsive to your body, responsive to your heart, responsive to life's rhythm. Responsiveness is wisdom in action. You do not need to measure how much rest is enough. The body will tell you. It always has. You are simply listening now. Listening changes everything. You may still feel guilt at times. That is all right. Guilt does not disappear instantly. It fades as worth becomes familiar. Each time you rest without apology, worth grows stronger. Worth does not shout. Worth does not demand proof. Worth rests comfortably within you. I want you to stop thinking of rest as time taken away from something important. Rest is time returned to yourself. And you are important. You have always been important. Even when you were tired, even when you were overwhelmed, even when you felt you had to keep going, you no longer have to keep going in the same way. You are allowed to go differently now. Differently means slower at times. Differently means stopping sooner. Differently means listening instead of pushing. This different way of living is kinder. And kindness creates peace. Peace does not mean life becomes perfect. Peace means you stop waging war against yourself. That war may have felt necessary once, it may have helped you survive, but survival is not the same as living. Now you are learning how to live. Living includes rest. Living includes softness. Living includes dignity. I want you to feel the dignity of this moment. Dignity does not require achievement. It arises from self-respect, from honoring your limits without shame. You have honored yourself here. That matters. As you move forward, you may find that rest feels less like a decision and more like a natural response. You rest when you are tired. You pause when you are full. You stop when something feels complete. This is balance restored. Balance does not mean never being tired. It means responding to tiredness with care instead of criticism. Care changes the body's chemistry. Care calms the heart. Care restores trust. Trust allows you to live without constant vigilance. I want you to notice how much effort it takes now to stay tense. Tension requires work. Rest does not. Rest is the body's natural state when threat is removed. There is no threat here. You are not falling behind. You are not being left out. You are not losing anything essential. You are gaining yourself back. This gaining does not feel dramatic. It feels quiet, like settling into a chair, like finally exhaling after holding your breath for too long. You have been holding your breath in many ways. Now you are learning to breathe again. As this epilogue comes to a close, do not think of it as an ending. Think of it as a continuation of a new rhythm, a new tone, a new relationship with yourself. You do not need to remember these words. You only need to remember how it felt to stop pushing. That feeling will return to you when you need it. You are allowed to rest. You are allowed to receive. You are allowed to live without guilt. This permission does not expire. Life loves you. And you are learning gently, patiently, faithfully to love yourself in the same way. Let us remain here together without the need to mark an ending. There is a quiet kindness in not rushing away from rest, in allowing the body and heart to settle fully before moving again. This moment is not asking for readiness. It is asking only for presence, and even that can be gentle. You may notice that something inside you feels different now, not dramatically different, not suddenly transformed, but quieter, less strained, less alert. This is not because everything has been resolved, but because you are no longer pushing against yourself. And when resistance softens, peace naturally takes its place. For a long time, you may have lived with the belief that rest was something dangerous, that slowing down meant falling behind, that stillness invited trouble, that if you stopped paying attention, something important might be lost. These beliefs were learned in moments when life felt demanding and uncertain. They were learned to protect you. I want you to honor that protection. It carried you through many seasons. And now you are in a season where protection can soften into trust. Trust feels very different in the body. Trust allows the breath to deepen. Trust allows the muscles to release. Trust allows the heart to stop waiting for the next demand. You do not need to force trust. Trust grows when it feels safe to grow. Right now, you are safe. You may notice that your body feels heavier, as if it is sinking into support. This is not fatigue, this is relief. Relief comes when the body realizes it no longer has to hold itself upright through effort alone. You are being held by the ground beneath you, by the rhythm of your breath, by life itself. Life has always been holding you, even when you felt you had to hold everything together alone. I want you to feel how unnecessary effort feels now, how much work it takes to stay tense, how much energy vigilance requires, and notice how little effort it takes to allow yourself to rest. Rest is not something you add to your life. It is something you remove resistance from. When resistance leaves, rest remains. You may still hear thoughts drifting through your mind, plans, memories, questions. Let them pass like clouds. You do not need to follow them. You do not need to solve them. They are not emergencies. Thoughts do not need your immediate attention to exist. Peace grows when thoughts are allowed without obedience. You have spent many years responding instantly to others, to expectations, to inner pressure. And now you are learning how to pause before responding, even inwardly. This pause is not emptiness, it is choice. Choice returns when rest is honored. I want you to notice how different it feels to be with yourself without evaluation, without checking whether you are doing this right, without asking if you should feel more relaxed, more calm, more peaceful. There is nothing you should feel. What you feel is enough. This acceptance is not passive. It is powerful. It removes the inner struggle that drains so much energy. When struggle ends, energy returns naturally. Energy that returns is gentler than energy forced. Gentle energy sustains you. You may feel emotion rise now, sadness, tenderness, even grief. Grief for how long you lived without rest. Grief for how often you pushed yourself past kindness. Let that grief be here. It does not mean something is wrong. It means something true is being acknowledged. Acknowledgement heals without effort. You do not need to resolve this grief. You do not need to analyze it. It will soften when it feels seen. Everything softens when it feels seen. I want you to know that rest is not something you must protect fiercely. Rest does not require guarding. It grows stronger each time you choose it gently. When rest is chosen with force, it becomes another task. When rest is allowed, it becomes nourishment. Nourishment restores balance quietly. Balance does not arrive all at once. It returns gradually through many small moments of listening. Moments when you notice tiredness and stop. Moments when you feel full and pause. Moments when you choose not to push yourself just a little further. These moments change your life. Not dramatically, not loudly, but faithfully. You may find that you no longer feel the same urgency you once did, or that urgency arises and passes more quickly. You recognize it now. You do not mistake it for truth. Urgency is a habit of fear. Rest is a habit of trust. You are building trust now, not by convincing yourself of anything, but by responding differently. Each time you rest without apology, trust deepens. Each time you stop without explanation, trust strengthens. Each time you choose care over criticism, trust settles in. Trust lives in the body. You may notice that your sleep begins to change, or your waking moments feel less rushed, or your breath deepens more easily. These changes are signs that your system is remembering how to regulate itself. The body knows how to heal when it is not being driven. I want you to release the belief that rest is something you must schedule perfectly or manage. Carefully, rest does not need management. It needs permission. Permission says I am allowed to stop. Permission says I am allowed to receive. Permission says I am allowed to be. Being is enough. You have been taught in many ways that being is not enough, that you must always be becoming something more. And now you are learning something quieter and truer. Being is the foundation from which everything meaningful arises. You do not need to improve yourself before you are allowed to rest. Rest is not a reward. Rest is a requirement for wholeness. I want you to trust that nothing important will be lost when you rest. You are not forgetting your responsibilities. You are restoring the one who carries them. Responsibility carried from exhaustion becomes heavy. Responsibility carried from rest becomes clear. Clarity is a gift of rest. You may notice that decisions feel simpler now, not because answers are obvious, but because you are no longer forcing them. You allow answers to come when they are ready. Rest allows timing to reveal itself. You are not late, you are not behind. You are exactly where you need to be to learn this lesson. This lesson is not about doing less. It is about living differently. Living differently means listening sooner. Living differently means stopping earlier. Living differently means treating yourself with the same respect you offer others. Respect is the heart of rest. When you respect yourself, you do not shame your fatigue. You do not argue with your need for pause. You respond with care. Care feels steady. Care feels grounding. Care feels kind. Kindness toward yourself changes the way life feels. Life responds to kindness. When you are kind to yourself, life feels less harsh, not because it changed, but because you did. I want you to feel how much dignity there is in this moment. Dignity does not come from achievement. It comes from self-respect, from honoring your limits without apology. You are not weak for needing rest. You are wise. Wisdom knows when to stop. You may still feel moments of guilt in the days ahead. That is all right. Guilt is a habit, and habits soften with practice. Each time guilt appears, and you choose rest anyway, you loosen its grip. Guilt does not disappear through argument. Guilt disappears through worth. Worth does not need to be proven. Worth does not fluctuate. Worth rests comfortably within you. I want you to remember that rest does not mean disengaging from life. It means engaging without strain. When you are rested, you are more present, not less. Presence is the deepest contribution you can make. Presence allows you to listen. Presence allows you to respond. Presence allows you to love without exhaustion. You do not need to earn the right to be present. You already are. As this time gently draws to a close, do not feel that you must carry anything with you. You do not need to remember the words. You do not need to recreate this feeling. This feeling will return when you stop pushing. It will return in quiet moments. It will return in pauses. It will return when you choose kindness instead of effort. You are allowed to live this way. You are allowed to rest this way. You are allowed to exist without guilt. Take one more slow breath now. Let it move through you naturally. Notice how supported you are, without effort. Nothing is being asked of you. This is rest remembered. This is balance restored. This is worth reclaimed. Life loves you. And you are learning gently and faithfully to let yourself be loved without strain, without apology, and without needing to earn it. Let us stay here together a little longer without needing to decide what comes next. There is no next step required right now. No movement expected, no conclusion to reach. This moment is whole, just as it is, and you are whole within it. You may notice how different it feels to be allowed to stop without explanation, to be still without planning your return to action, to rest without watching the clock or measuring whether you have earned this pause. This feeling may be unfamiliar, and yet something in your body recognizes it as true. The body remembers what the mind forgot. For a long time, your body learned to stay ready, ready to respond, ready to perform, ready to give more than it had. It learned that rest was something to delay, something to negotiate, something to apologize for. And still, through all that effort, it never stopped asking for kindness. That asking has been quiet but persistent. Now, at last, you are listening. You may feel a sense of relief that is difficult to describe. Not excitement, not happiness, just a soft easing of pressure. A sense that you are no longer holding yourself up by force. This easing is not something you created. It appeared when resistance softened. Resistance is tiring. Rest is natural. You are not meant to live in constant effort. You are meant to move in rhythms, rhythms of giving and receiving, rhythms of action and stillness, rhythms of attention and rest. When these rhythms are honored, life flows more gently. When they are ignored, life feels heavy. I want you to feel how light it is, even now, to stop pushing. How little effort it takes to allow yourself to be supported. Support does not need to be earned. It is already present. You are supported by the surface beneath you. You are supported by your breath. You are supported by life itself. Life has never stopped supporting you, even when you felt you had to do everything alone. You may notice that your breathing has become quieter, less managed, less intentional. This is a sign that the body no longer feels the need to stay alert. It trusts that it can rest without consequence. Trust is built through experience, not instruction. Each time you rest and nothing falls apart, trust grows. Each time you pause and remain accepted, trust deepens. Each time you choose kindness over pressure, trust settles in. Trust lives in the body. I want you to stop trying to understand what is happening. Understanding belongs to the mind. Rest belongs to the body. The body does not need explanation. It needs permission. Permission says you may stop now. Permission says you are safe enough. Permission says nothing is required of you. These messages are powerful. They calm systems that have been overworked for years. You may notice thoughts still appearing, plans, memories, small worries drifting through. Let them come and go. They do not need to be solved. They are not instructions. They are simply habits finishing their movement. Habits loosen when they are not obeyed. Peace grows in the spaces between thoughts. Peace grows in pauses. Peace grows when nothing is demanded. I want you to feel the dignity of resting without justification. Dignity does not come from achievement. It comes from self-respect, from honoring yourself as a living being rather than a role or function. You are not here to be useful. You are here to be alive. Being alive includes rest. Rest is not something that happens after life is finished. Rest is part of living well. When you rest, you are not stepping away from life. You are stepping into a more truthful relationship with it, a relationship that includes listening, a relationship that includes care, a relationship that includes limits honored without shame. Shame has no place here. You may notice feelings arising, sadness, relief, tenderness, even anger. Anger for how long you believed you had to earn rest. Sadness for how often you ignored your body's needs. Let these feelings be present. They are not disruptions. They are acknowledgments. Acknowledgement heals. You do not need to forgive yourself in a dramatic way. Forgiveness is happening quietly as you stop punishing yourself. Each time you rest without guilt, forgiveness deepens. Forgiveness does not announce itself, it settles. I want you to notice how unnecessary it feels now to explain yourself, how the urge to justify your stillness has softened. This is a sign that worth is no longer being negotiated. Worth does not need defending. Worth does not fluctuate. Worth rests easily within you. You have always been worthy of care, even when you were tired, overwhelmed, or unsure. Worth was never lost. It was simply covered by habit and expectation. Now it is being uncovered. You may notice that time feels different here, slower, less pressing. This is because urgency has softened. Urgency is a product of fear. When fear rests, time opens. There is room now, room to breathe, room to feel, room to be without doing. You do not need to fill this room. You do not need to make use of it. Space is valuable simply because it allows life to settle. You may feel the urge to hold on to this feeling, to preserve it so it does not slip away. Gently let that go. Holding creates tension. Allowing creates continuity. Peace does not leave when you stop paying attention. Peace waits. It will return in moments when you pause. It will return when you soften your inner voice. It will return when you choose not to push yourself one step further than kindness allows. This return is always available. I want you to release the idea that rest must look perfect, that it must be quiet, deep, or complete. Rest can be brief. Rest can be imperfect. Rest can happen in moments. A single breath taken without force is rest. A moment of stillness without judgment is rest. Choosing not to rush is rest. These small rests accumulate. They teach your system a new rhythm. You are learning that rhythm now. You may find that in the days ahead, you stop sooner when you are tired, or that you choose to sit quietly without distraction, or that you sleep more deeply. These changes are not things to track. They are signs that trust is growing. Trust grows when rest is honored. I want you to trust that nothing important will be lost if you live this way. You are not becoming less capable. You are becoming more whole. Wholeness does not require constant effort. It requires balance. Balance is not rigid. Balance is responsive. Balance listens. When you listen, you respond wisely. You may still have moments when old habits return, when you push too hard, when you ignore tiredness. This does not undo what you have learned. Awareness brings you back sooner now. Sooner noticing is healing. Each return to rest strengthens the path. Each return makes it easier. Each return builds familiarity. Familiarity turns rest from something you allow into something you live from. Living from rest feels steady. Living from rest feels grounded. Living from rest feels humane. You are allowed to live humanely. You were never meant to live as a machine. You were meant to live as a being sensitive, responsive, and deserving of care. Care is not a reward. Care is a necessity. I want you to feel how supported you are right now, not because of anything you did, but because you stopped doing, because you allowed yourself to be. Being is enough. As this epilogue gently settles, do not think of it as ending. Think of it as the beginning of a quieter relationship with yourself. One where you listen before pushing, one where you rest before exhaustion, one where you respond with kindness instead of criticism. This relationship will continue to deepen. You do not need to remember these words. You only need to remember the feeling of not being demanded of. That feeling will return when you stop striving. It will return in silence. It will return in breath. It will return when you choose yourself. You are allowed to rest. You are allowed to stop. You are allowed to live without guilt. This permission is not temporary. Life loves you, and you are learning slowly, gently, faithfully to live as if that love is true.